I would say that these projects are a nice example of what you could call a bottom-up approach. Similarity between our King Baudouin and King Pomeba.
But I was fascinated by its culture, its beauty. But in Morocco we have many restaurants, and we have to be proud so much about that we have two great monarchs.
Brightly shone in my heartstrings.
สวัสดีค่ะ This is Kusmayo Tasmut and this is Thailand today. As head of the state of the Kingdom of Thailand, King Bhumibol Adulyadej is a living symbol of this proud nation and a highly revered monarch to his subjects. His Majesty, then a 19-year-old prince, ascended the throne on June 9, 1946. When he turned 88 on December 5, 2015, he already is the world's longest-reigning monarch, who has reigned for more than 69 years. Hailed in his countries as King of Kings and internationally as a monarch who works tirelessly for his people. Thais from all walks of life, religious and faith will join in to rejoice and celebrate the King's royal birthday. On this occasion, Thailand Today welcome you to the second part of interviews with ambassadors of Belgium and the Kingdom of Morocco, who talk about their experiences in Thailand and express their views of our beloved monarch.
So much for sparing your precious time.
Thank you.
Right. I would love to ask you, Sabida, how much did you know about Thailand prior to coming to Bangkok?
Well, to be quite honest, nothing, because I never worked in Asia before. So I could call me a specialist of Central or Eastern Europe, also with, I could say, a rather big concentration on security issues. So Asia, ASEAN, Thailand, Southeast Asia was rather completely new. But I'm now here for 3 years, so I had to do my homework before arriving. So I read a lot, but since then I didn't stop nor reading, nor learning about the country and the region.
Very interesting. So how do you describe, I believe that you have experienced some of the royal projects. So what can you describe the experience, a part of it that you have visited?
Well, the diplomatic corps is invited and by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and by the Ministry of Culture. And during these study trips we normally visit also royal projects. That's my knowledge about the oil projects. I also have, when I was traveling around Thailand as it's called, a private person, I spent some time in national parks where you also have royal projects, and so also visited them there. Now, to come back to your question, what is my opinion, what can I say about it? Well, as far as I can judge the different royal projects that I have visited, I would say that these projects are a nice example of what you could call a bottom-up approach, where you teach farmers or people that are active in the arts and crafts, things like that, to do better their job, to create a kind of a responsibility, and to pass this higher or better quality also to their neighbors and people around them. So it's rather well thought and I think quite efficient.
And also it's a kind of a substitute crops. For the previously they were doing some not proper, like marijuana growing, so this is a substitution.
Well, in places near the border with Laos in Myanmar, indeed, you have the royal foundations that were actively involved in enticing or stimulating the people, the minority, the people, to change their way of cultivating and to switch to alternative crops. And the fact that Thailand was able to reduce the old crops means that the product was a big success.
So what is the strike you most about His Majesty the King?
Well, as a Belgian person, and studied a little bit about your country and the relations between the royal houses, I would say that there is a similarity between our King Baudouin and King Bhumibol.
Yes.
They are both persons that came to the throne more or less at the same time, at a very young age. And they were people that, because they were young, they really had to learn, if you can call it like that, their profession on the spot, and they grew into the role that they had to play. Above that, both are people of high principles and with a high moral standing. And I still remember when, unfortunately, our King Baudouin died in 1993. Well, everybody in Belgium still remembers what he or she was doing when this announcement came. Because at that moment, the aura of our king was so big that you didn't have people that were against or how do you call it, before him. You know, they all liked the king. And when this thing happened, it was as if the country stopped. So it was a very special moment in my life, and I think in the life of each and every Belgian person. And that was, or had to do with the fact that he was such an exemplary person. And as far as I can judge, I feel and I see a little bit the same when I hear Thai people talking about their king.
I still remember your former king, when he was here in Thailand. The Thai was so excited to work. But I wasn't young, but we just a glimpse of the happy faith that he had to other Thai people also.
Well, you can see from the faces that they indeed had a very good relationship and a very personal relationship also. And even after the death of our king, his wife, Queen Fabiola, she continued to come in a private capacity to Thailand. And we also know that members of the Thai royal family almost on a yearly basis visited the Belgian royal house.
Very interesting. So His Majesty is turning 88 years in 75 this year. So what would you like to say to birthday wish to His Majesty?
Well, 88 is of course a very, very nice and auspicious number, I would say. Above that, I would like to wish His Majesty good health, a lot of prosperity for himself, his immediate family, and also for the people of Thailand.
So Your Excellency, can you kindly flash back to the historical relationship of our two countries, please?
Yes, with pleasure. We signed as countries the first treaty about 147 years ago. We established diplomatic relations 132 years ago, and Belgium opened an embassy in the Kingdom of Siam 111 years ago, in 1904. So you see that our relations, they are, well, I would say already quite going back over the centuries. Besides that, when we talk about the relations between the royal families, the first royal visit goes back to 1897 when King Chulalongkorn came to Europe for the first time. And during the time that he was touring Europe, he passed 3 times Brussels, and 3 times he was received by His Majesty Leopold II. Afterwards, 10 years later, he would come back and would be once again the host of our monarch. And between that, the future King Rama VI would also pass in Brussels. After 1907, unfortunately, well, Europe was heading to war, so the contacts diminished. And we have to wait until 1920, but between 1920 and 1930 there were once again about 5 or 6 royal visits of princes. And in 1930, 1932 to be quite correct, our future King Leopold III, as Crown Prince, Duc de Brabant, he came to Bangkok with his wife, Princess Astrid, where he was the guest of King Rama VII. 2 years later, at that time, King Albert unfortunately had died, so Leopold from Crown Prince had become king. He received King Rama VII in Brussels. And then once again we have a war, so the relations calmed down. Then we had in Belgium an internal crisis, but by the time that King Baudouin raised to the throne, one of the first things that he did was sending an invitation for King Bhumipol to visit Belgium, a visit that happened in 1960, followed by the visit of His Majesty King Baudouin to Thailand. And then afterwards, King Albert, in his capacity of Crown Prince, he visited twice with an economic mission Thailand. When King Albert, or Prince Albert, became king, it was Prince Philip, his son, who visited twice Thailand. The last time in March 2013, but we didn't know at that time that a few months later Albert would abdicate and Prince Philip became King Philip.
Well, we have such a close relationship from the Royal Monarch Institute to that today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sawadee on the auspicious occasion of the 88th birthday of His Majesty the King, I would like to wish him a lot of health, happiness, and for the people of Thailand I also would wish them a lot of prosperity. Long live the King.
Thank you for opening up the house for us to talk to you today. So, Your Excellency, how much did you know Thailand prior to your living here in Thailand?
So before coming to Thailand, or before being appointed by His Majesty King Mohammed VI, I knew a lot about Thailand through my readings, because I never visited Thailand before, but I was fascinated by its culture, its beauty. But in Morocco, we have many restaurants, Thai restaurants, so people are fascinated by the cuisine, the Thai cuisine. We have, at the same time, people are coming to visit Thailand. We have many tourists, Moroccan tourists coming, because they are fascinated by the beautiful island of Phuket, Koh Lanta, Koh Samui. So all these islands are very known to Moroccan. At the same time, Muay Thai is one of the sport or cultural sport in Thailand. So we have many Moroccan champions too. But at the same time, we are two monarchies, and we are fascinated by the Kingdom of Thailand, by His Majesty, by the people. So I'm really loving this country and loving this culture.
So how much do you describe your experience with the royal projects?
Well, I think first I have an opportunity to visit some of the His Majesty Royal Project. I'll tell you, I was impressed in such that His Majesty love and care. He brings happiness to its people. These projects the target is to make people self-sufficient. I recall Aristotle, this is one of the Greek philosophers, who said, happiness belongs to self-sufficient. And I think the King's compassion, His Majesty's compassion, care, lead the people to work hard, to feel that they are working with dignity. He brought to them values. He listened to them. He listened to their need. And I think that many people are enjoying their product, they are selling it, they are transferring their knowledge to others of their families. And I think this is one of the good things that give the people of Thailand a way to feel proud of themselves and to feel that they are doing some good deed for their country. And this one cannot be done without this project initiated by His Majesty.
So what is it that strikes you the most about His Majesty the King?
It's unbelievable. I'll tell you. I mean, it's his proximity with his people, his love to his people. He listened to his people. Three things strike me a lot. First, his elegance. Besides this one, there are other things that strike me. His camera, his pen, and his paper. So he came for in a remote area to see by his own and to have the first hand about the people need and this. So these three tools strike me a lot because His Majesty has wise guidance and the vision. And I think he took picture, he translated this one to papers and put concrete project for the people. I think it's this one what strike me a lot. I mean, I will never forget when I see that His Majesty, that sometimes even he sweat, sitting with the people, talking with them, but His Majesty's sweat is another message to the people that they have to work hard by themselves to improve their lives, to improve their condition. But this one cannot be done except through them, and all the wealth and this one can be to them. And this is one of the message that we have that impressed me a lot. And I think this one too remind me of His Majesty the King of Morocco. He traveled all around Moroccan territory and listen to the people, listen to their needs, and come up with a project that can be beneficial to them. So we have to be proud of our two countries, and we have to be proud so much about that we have two great monarchs.
His Majesty will turn 88 this coming December the 5th. So what would you like to say for birthday wishes to His Majesty?
First of all, I have a message to His Majesty, but just to sum up a little bit, I hope and I wish for His Majesty long life. I wish His Majesty speedy recovery. I wish His Majesty too much health, and so he can be always symbol of this nation, and so a wise guidance to this nation. And I hope for His Majesty all the best, and for Thailand too, the prosperity under his leadership.
Thank you, MICHIELSEN.
Thank you. Your Majesty, while the Thai people are celebrating your happy 88th birthday, I'm delighted to express to Your Majesty my warmest and most sincere congratulations. I call on God Almighty to return this glorious birthday while Your Majesty and the noble royal family are in good health and happiness, and the Thai people are in progress, prosperity, peace, and stability. I would like also, on this auspicious occasion, to recognize and commend Your Majesty's many contributions to development of the Kingdom of Thailand. Your wise guidance and vision have impacted positively the lives of many Thai families. The Kingdom of Morocco holds His Majesty in high esteem, great consideration, and join the Thai citizens in this solemn birthday celebration. This year, the Kingdom of Thailand and the Kingdom of Morocco celebrated the 30th anniversary of the establishment of the diplomatic relation. Based on the strong ties of friendship and mutual consideration existing between both royal families and the people of both kingdoms, I would like to take this opportunity to reiterate to Your Majesty my country's desire to work together with the Kingdom of Thailand to further strengthen bilateral relations and cooperate and to expand them to other areas in the interest of our two friendly people. Your Majesty, please allow me once again to congratulate Your Majesty and the people of Thailand on this special day and to wish Your Majesty and the Thai people a prosperous year in years ahead. Duik Lao, Duik Ramon, Kodit Chao, Kaprabot Ta Chao, Abdelilah HOUSNI, Ambassador of His Majesty, the King of Morocco, to Thailand. Kopraong, Son Pracharon, Yen Gyonan.
Belgium and the Kingdom of Morocco are both constitutional monarchy nations. So the two senior diplomats are familiar with and full of praise for the role played by our king and his family in a developing country like Thailand. Belgian ambassador was keen to note that the amount of time and works His Majesty dispenses to fulfill his pledge to bring about the happiness of his subjects. Moroccan ambassador offers his unique perspective of someone with the privilege to have closely observed the works of King Mohammed VI and King Bhumibol Adulyadej, and he is highly appreciative of his experience in Thailand. Thank you for watching Thailand today. I'm Kusuma Yothasmut. Hope to see you again tomorrow. สวัสดีค่ะ